All right, now get this. Israel's Ministerial Legislation Committee has just approved the controversial override bill. This bill would allow the Knesset to repass laws that have already been struck down by the Supreme Court. It still has to go through a series of votes and amendments before becoming law, but joining us with more details is expert on Israeli constitutional law, attorney Adir Binyamini, and legal advisor to the Israeli Movement for Governability and Democracy, attorney Simcha Rothman. Thank you both for joining us.
Okay.
So let's talk about ways in which this bill could be abused by any coalition in power. What are some of the issues with this bill, and what are some of the positives?
Well, as we all know, no man's life, liberty, or property is safe while the legislature is in session. That's a quote from Mark Twain, and we need the Supreme Court to be to make those checks and balances for so no law that is violating human rights will get approved, or at least you have the chance to attack that law by making a motion to the Supreme Court.
The override mechanism is basically, it's actually not needed because the Supreme Court in Israel, unlike the US or other places, has no authority to begin with to cancel Knesset laws. That's an authority the court took upon himself without any basis. We don't have a constitution in Israel. The court took it upon himself to decide what law is good, what law is bad, what constitutes a breach of the basic law, which is not a constitution. So what the Knesset is trying to do now, long overdue, is to take away the power was taken away from it by the Supreme Court. And we hear a lot of frightening, what will happen? The Knesset will cancel the human rights. The Knesset can cancel the basic laws today by a majority of 2-1. So if the Knesset does not cancel the basic laws, it means that the Knesset wants to safeguard human rights in Israel, but it doesn't think that the Supreme Court has to have the last and final word on how is the best way to do so.
But there are still many people, especially from the Kulanu party, who are saying that this ultimately will weaken the rule of the law if the bill is indeed passed, which obviously there are still amendments and changes that need to be made. So first, let's talk about what some of those changes are before this bill would be passed.
Well, I hope that the current situation, the current legal situation will stay, because not like Mr. Simchon here, I don't trust the rationality of the parliament. I mean, also, you see what happened today in Turkey. I mean, we have a lot of examples in history where there wasn't any Supreme Court to block a lot of laws that took away human rights. And therefore, we need the current situation to stay as it is in a lot of democracies.
Well, why is this change trying to be made right now?
The Supreme Court, just in 2017, canceled 5 Knesset laws, again, without any basic law on constitution. So the Supreme Court.
What were some of those laws?
Two of them were the laws about drafting ultra-Orthodox to the army. A law that was supposed to give a privilege to a minority, and the Supreme Court took it away. So even the notion that the Supreme Court safeguards the minorities, it's not true. From the laws that the Supreme Court canceled, based on equality, based on the defense of minorities, 83% of those laws were laws that defending minorities, laws that giving privilege to minorities. It's like that the court will cancel affirmative action laws on base of equality.
What is your take on this?
Well, I think that equality is much more important than all those values that Mr. Simchon is talking about. I mean, why should one civilian go and make army service and another one will not do it? So, I mean, that particular law was, in my eyes, defending equality and not...
Again, it's a minority that was given privilege by the majority.
I mean, this is just one. I don't want to get into the specifics of that law, but I do think that it's kind of important to talk about where this would lead the future of the Israeli political system and obviously the coalition system. What kind of impact would the Knesset having this ability have on the future of the Supreme Court and its power within the state?
I believe that. A minority can also be a tyrant, just like one person can be a tyrant. I mean, a lot of people, that a group of people can also be a tyrant. I mean, democracy is built about the fact that there are elections and the minority today can be the majority of tomorrow. So you don't want to give the Knesset the power to make laws that is irreversible for the other side of the political side of
any law is reversible. Any law can be cancelled.
But
the
you can
Knesset
make
afterwards.
the damages that you can fix later.
But the fact is that there is no other democracy in the world, no other, that a self-perpetuating court, self-perpetuating judiciary, cancel. It's not self-perpetuating because they are appointed by elected officials. Here we don't elect and not choose our judges the way it happens in other countries. It's self-perpetuating court, unelected, and cancel Knesset laws without any constitution, without any demand for legal standing. Anyone can go to Supreme Court. Israel is extremely unique, and I think this law is one small step to make us a democracy.
All right, well, obviously this is a very controversial bill, and it hasn't yet been passed, but we are going to have to wait and see what happens. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.